So when you look, Eric, at the kind of, the pros and cons, so you have a PBOC that's quite active, trying to limit maybe some of the damage, but you have a possible escalating trade war. So do they cancel each other out?
No.
So the risks are to the downside.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a trade war, or what we are seeing now, is terrible news for the world economy, and certainly for China. And your correspondent, I think, is right that there are two issues for the Chinese. There is sort of the technology path, and then there is sort of the need to keep growth going. And the economy is slowing by itself right now. And then they're using this reserve requirement, which is actually a terrible instrument to use now, because the number one issue China has in the growth story is the leverage issues, right? So you can't resolve the slowdown by asking for more leverage. So I think they're a little bit in a tight spot.
What happens to renminbi, Elsa?
So I think it will weaken from here, and that may be one of the tools they're forced to use. We've seen it in Mexico and Canada that both countries have been less concerned by threats of tariffs and so on, because the currency is freely floating. It can do a lot of the work in counteracting those tariffs. The Chinese don't have that capacity at the moment because it's such a managed currency, but I do think we'll see dollar China trending higher over time.
Okay, what's over time, like 18 months?
So we've got 680 as a target for year end, and then something above 7 in 2019. I think this is going to be a very slow process. I mean, Eric made that point as well, that this is going to play out over several months. We're going to see the US responding every time, but it takes a 2-month process to go through the legal hoops, so it's not going to happen overnight.
A look at 680. I'm going to bring this up here, Elsa. That's an extraordinary call. Let me put that up here right now, folks. I'm playing with a terminal, which we like to do on a Monday. There we go. 680 there is a dramatically weaker renminbi. What will be the effect of that upon China?
Yeah, it's a bold call, but it's, I think, one of the outlets that China has to use if you consider where they are vis-a-vis the US. We've heard the US threatening first 50 billion and then 200 billion. They clearly have a lot more room to impose tariffs on China than China has to respond in kind. And certainly this is complicating China's Made in 2025 strategy too.
Eric, you want in?
Elsa, 680, as Tom said, is a bold call. How much of that is dollar appreciation, and how much is it the Chinese move?
That's a great question, and I think Tom and Francine will remember I was here earlier on in the year when everybody was calling euro-dollar at 130, and we have a target of 118 for year-end and 116 as our trough. So certainly we have some dollar strength in there. I'm looking for dollar-yen at 120. It's not going to get to 680 if it's a weak dollar environment.
Right.